joining us from a very hot and steamy Ahmedabad is, I'm very pleased to say, a real big name from Indian cricket. Ajit, how are you doing?
Very good, and thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. India versus England Test series has just finished. First of all, did you think that it lived up to the expectations?
Uh, I mean, after England, what they did in the first test, how well they played, and how easily they won by a big margin, you thought that this could be a series where they could mount a serious challenge. Unfortunately, just things went downhill pretty quickly after that second test, and India, India found it quite easy to then sort of dictate terms. You expect India to do that. India have been exceptional at home. What 13 series wins on a trot, so you expect that, but you almost hope that it's a much closer series than that. At times, England had the chances, even in those three tests which they lost, but India are very good at home. So you have to be at your best, like most countries, when they play at home, it's not easy to win there.
You're right. It did seem after the first test that England looked like they had a chance. Joe Root got 200 plus, and it seemed that maybe India maybe a bit fatigued after that fantastic win in Australia. But could you put your finger on why things changed so dramatically?
For the first test, England won a good toss, and the ball didn't spin on the first couple of days. And when it doesn't spin, Indian wickets are really good to bat on. So, and they made full use of it. It's one thing to win the toss, and another thing to actually make sure you do all the right things, which England did in that first test. Second test onwards, we saw the ball spun a lot more. And when the ball does spin, then you require a different set of skills. Of course, you need experience. There are men around the bat. It becomes lot more harder. The crowds came in as well from the second test. That puts some pressure on teams traveling, because I've been part of teams where I've played in teams where there were great spinners, Anil Kumble and Harbhajan Singh, and you could almost sense when things started happening how much pressure the opposition feels. And here, apart from say Joe Root and Ben Stokes, a fairly inexperienced batting lineup as well. So once the Indian spinners got on top of them, it was always going to be difficult. It's one of the things I felt at least England didn't do as well was their spinners could have done a bit better. They could have bowled a bit better because the ball did spin, and they could have troubled India a little bit more. They didn't seem to have enough consistency as the series went on, because there was enough help for the bowler. So yes, inexperience is one thing, but you expected England to bowl a little bit better.
Do you think if Moeen Ali was able to stay on for the full series, that might have made a difference?
I think so. I mean, I think he should have bowled a bit better in that second test as well. I think he went for a few runs. That wicket spun a fair bit. We saw how difficult it was for the England batsmen to play once Ashwin and Akshar Patel bowled. So yeah, we've been talking throughout this series. I think we've spoken to Mark Butcher and Nick Knight were here, and now Graham Swan is here. We've been talking about this rotation. It's a difficult situation at the moment, isn't it? You don't quite understand it, but each team knows how difficult or not difficult the bubble's been for their particular players, and they make those decisions accordingly. So you don't, it's much easier to sit here and say, oh, what's with the rotation? Some of the things you don't understand, because Moeen Ali played one test and they had already decided that he'd go back. He certainly would have been a help. Someone like a Johnny Bairstow, I mean, again, from Sri Lanka, went back, and then when he came back on these wickets, it's not easy to have no cricket and then just come in. So those sorts of things, but they've decided on that, England, and you've got to go with that. I don't understand it, because I've been in a bubble now for 4 or 5 months since the IPL for various series. So it is tough. It is tough, especially when you are playing as well. As a player, as a commentator, all you have to do is turn up to the ground and talk about the game. The players have to train, practice, all sorts of things. So it's a lot harder on them. So you kind of understand. But if they didn't chop and change as much, I think England would have probably played a lot better than what they eventually ended up playing.
You mentioned the Indian spinners. Fantastic series for Akshar Patel and for Ashwin as well. 59 wickets between them in the series. It's amazing.
Yeah, only 59. Yeah. And Akshar Patel didn't play the first test.
That's right.
Yeah. So Ashwin, I mean, you look at his numbers and he is formidable. His record in India is formidable. Over the last few years, he's bowled better when he's travelled as well. 400 wickets in 77 tests. Those are incredible numbers. Whether the ball spins or not, you've got to be good enough to do that. I mean, there have been other bowlers who played on the same pitches. I don't have that kind of record. So Akshar Patel obviously surprised. It's sort of his style of bowling and the pitches that were there almost suited. Quickish, uh, natural variation from the pitch. Didn't quite know how he'd bowl because we not he's played a fair bit of first class cricket, which is always handy coming to a test series, but didn't quite know how well he'll bowl. So 59 wickets. That was, I think, one of the bigger differences apart from the batting bit. That the consistency which Indian spinners had, which the England spinners lacked. So once they got some spin from the pitches, it was always going to be difficult for England.
I think we all know how cricket is almost like a religion in India, and wherever you go, you can enter deep conversations with anybody about the game. What has been the feeling locally about this Test series?
Firstly, I think everyone was happy to have some cricket back. It's
Yep.
been a really long time. We've not had a lot. We've had some domestic cricket as well, but not a lot this season. It's been a unique year. Well, at least 2020 was, and things seem to be getting a little bit on track, a bit better. So I think everyone was thankful to have some cricket. Uh, so England traveling was such a big thing, and also eventually the crowd started coming in. Second test in Chennai, then the two in Ahmedabad. Uh, Not packed stadiums, but enough people around. So to have crowds back at the game is what every player would look for, in spite of these unique times. So that was a positive, really. It's just, and it's with what's happened over the last year and a half. It's much easy to say that, oh, cricket's back and there's a smile on people's faces because it's much much bigger than that. But at least it's brought some happiness. And then India winning the series obviously gives people that much more happiness, But I think in general, people are just a lot happier to have cricket back in India, which is what I think the last time they played was in March or February of last, or they were scheduled to play a series against South Africa, and that was called off on the eve. So that's been a long time that there's not been cricket. So thankful to have some cricket back.
You mentioned the crowds. You yourself have played in front of a packed MCG, but this new stadium in Ahmedabad, I mean, it just looks like a spaceship has landed from Planet Cricket, and it just looks absolutely incredible. I cannot imagine what it's going to be like the day that it is full of enthusiastic, noisy Indian cricket fans, and how that would be as a player with that kind of atmosphere.
Oh, I can't wait to experience that. I mean, even though I'm not playing, I mean, I've played a Boxing Day test, or twice I played in a Boxing Day test at the MCG, and that is an incredible stadium. So is this. You might almost get lost in this. Yeah, it feels that big, even from the com box. You're exactly right. It is like a UFO that has landed like a little bowl or a saucer. It is quite an incredible sight. I mean, I'd heard about it, but till you don't actually go there and see it, it is a fabulous stadium. I mean, and just as you sort of drive into it in middle of nowhere, this big sort of saucer or a big bowl, and it will be quite daunting for the players when it's a full house. It'll be a great atmosphere. I think the Indian team will love it whenever that happens, because that is what you want. What, 110,000 plus, I
Yeah.
think, is the capacity at the moment. That's what they've said. So to get that many people, I think the top tier might require some binoculars to actually see the player. It's That's how high it is. It is
Yeah.
quite incredibly big, actually. Till you don't see it live, you don't realize how big that stadium is. It is a fantastic stadium. A lot of the cricket grounds in India are really top quality now, but this just stands out.
You're not going to see the ball from Rosette, are you?
No, no, you'd be lucky enough to see the players from there. Forget the ball. Maybe the white ball under lights, or the pink ball might be a bit more visible, but yeah, it is just a long way out, that last row.
Well, I think we should pay tribute to the Gujarat Cricket Association for putting this together, because it's going to be one of the new landmarks of the cricketing world for the future.
Yeah, completely. I think every stakeholder, it's named after our Honorable Prime Minister now, Mr. Narendra Modi. Mr. Jay Shah was the secretary of the BCCI, was actively involved. So was his father, who's the Home Minister now, Amit Shah. They've obviously been the big stakeholders in, getting this done and to actually eventually have this ready and, already couple of test matches now in it. Like you said, when it is full house, it is going to be a heck of an atmosphere. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, I'm at the ground when it is a full house.
So we're now going into the white ball series, and it looks like Indians batsmen seems to be. We've mentioned the spinners, but there's been some strong batting performances this series. It's to me, looks like it's going to be shaping up to a good white ball series for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, India has generally done quite well white ball, but it'll be a lot tougher series. I think England is one of the better white ball teams in the world,
World
if not the best.
champions, world champions.
Yeah, well, yeah, I haven't forgotten that. in a tied game, but yeah, world champions. No, look, they played.
We can talk about the semi-final if you want.
Yeah, no, I'd rather forget that. No, yeah, look, they played brilliantly. I mean, they were one of the favorites to win the tournament, so it's not a surprise that they did win. Their white ball cricket has dramatically changed since that 2015 World Cup.
Yeah.
Morgan's been such an inspiration as a captain, and they've found the players, or at least the players that they have, play a different brand of cricket to what England used to play earlier, and they've taken that direction. So I expect it to be a very difficult series for India, even though India's record is so good. And India will be well aware of it because England in white ball cricket is a different proposition, even in India, and we will get some good pitches to bat on. So it should be a thrilling series. I think there'll be a few runs scored in this series.
Yeah, it's a busy calendar now for especially for India, because we have this. You've got IPL, then India come to England in the summer. There's the WTC final, and then all eyes will be on the T20 World Cup in October. So I think it's going to be the management and the coaching staff have to be careful about managing the players' workload, I think.
Yeah, especially with this, this followed by the 2-month IPL. I'm sure they're mindful of it. Bumrah, India's spearhead, has already been given some time off before the IPL. He's not part of the white ball series. So I'm sure they'll be looking at that because, like you said, the amount of you're basically going from one bubble to the other. It's the new word at the moment, the bubble. So it is quite crazy, and it can't be easy for the players. It really can't. To then have to perform day in day out it's not as easy as it looks. Look, that's their job, and they get paid for it, and you accept that. But it still can't be easy. So I'm sure they would have planned that, especially after the IPL. On apart from the WTC, I think there could be a couple other series that India play till before they come to England in August for the Test series. So I'm sure there'll be a lot more sort of management of the players, especially players who are certainties in your squad. Generally, 11, 12, 13 guys pick themselves. It's always the couple at the end that you're unsure about. So those guys might have breaks in between, because again, IPL is going to be a long couple of months, and there is literally no break. So it's not like you can go in and out of the bubble. You play 14 games and that's it. So I'm sure both teams, come that World Cup, you still want your best 15 or 16, the squad, mentally fresh. I think physically people look after themselves quite well these days, but mentally they need to be a lot fresher if you've got to win that tournament.
I've heard about how people are spending time in their hotel bubbles. I know Mark Butcher has been playing his guitar and singing songs to everyone. But I heard the England team had a tournament in Call of Duty, the computer game, which got very competitive. And then I had one of the West Indies players on the show, and he was telling me about a table tennis tournament that was going on with the West Indies players. And I just wondered if amongst the Indian camp, whether they had any competitions or anything going on.
Oh, wow. Would have been nice to find out, actually. I'm not aware of it firsthand, but I'm sure they'd be finding ways. I think BCCI has been quite nice to allow some of the families, or a lot of the families, to be around the players. I think because with IPL, I'm sure it gets a lot more hectic for the families to travel. So at least when you're in one place, it's a little bit easier, so they get to spend some time. Whether they're playing any games, I'm not sure. But the one thing they've certainly done is finish test matches too quickly to have a lot more free time
Yeah.
than when I was just saying, commentating, spending time at the ground was much easier than sitting in a hotel room. And the test matches seem to finish in 2 and 3 days. So you've got those extra couple of days as if you didn't have enough time to kill. Um, so yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe
Do you
I'll
think?
find it out for you and let you know.
Yeah. Do you think they get the carom board out or something like that?
I'm sure I'm sure every bubble these days has a games room, whatever that is. Whether there are a couple of video games there, there's a carom. We've got in our bubble. There's what 100 strong crew here, the production crew. So there's some carom, there's some pool, there's some darts. I think some chess I saw the other day. So there is stuff, and obviously you can find some space to play cricket. I think the crew is always keen to play some cricket. I don't think the players would be doing that, trying to stay away from a ball and a bat. But at least here the crew is quite keen to get some cricket, underarm cricket or something.
So we're looking forward to welcoming India to England in the summer. England's a good place for you personally in your playing career.
Yeah. Well,
Is it true you have one achievement that not even Sachin, your good friend Sachin Tendulkar, you have one achievement that he does not have? What is that?
Yeah, I mean there are few other great names who haven't got 100. I was lucky enough to get 100 at Lords, so I don't remind them. They've got plenty otherwise, but yeah, it's a special place. I was lucky enough to play at Lords. I was actually lucky enough to play for Middlesex as well a few games after that. So I've spent a little bit of time at Lords. By the way, it's got the best lunches in the world. So you hope as a bowler you hope the team's batting around lunchtime, so you don't have to worry. But yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, we had a good series then. 2002, I think it was. Finished 1-1 eventually, but really good series, and it's always a great place to play. I mean, the
Yeah.
ball swings around, uh, great crowds. Generally great atmosphere, quite intimate. The grounds are quite small, so it's no, it's I've always enjoyed touring England. I mean, that was the one full tour that I made. But apart from that, lots of one-day cricket that we played, whether it was a Champions Trophy or stuff like that. But yeah, it was nice to get 100.
You
However,
see,
it was always nice to get 100, but to get 100 at Lords was nice.
well, yeah. I mean, you're known to me as a bowler, but I mean, yeah, 100 at Lords, and you just mentioned one-day cricket. Is it true that you still hold the record for the fastest ODI 50, 22 balls?
Yeah, for an Indian, yes.
For an
I
okay.
mean, yeah, for an Indian, yeah. 21, I think. 21, I think
Oh, was it?
it's
Okay,
21.
wow.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how that stayed. I think it's been 20 years now that has actually held up. If there was one record that I thought would be easily broken with the way guys whack the ball these days, was that. I mean, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli's of this world, or MS Dhoni or Yuvraj Singh's hit the ball for fun. I mean,
Yeah.
so yeah, I keep reminding them once every now and then that it's not that easy to get a 50 of 21 balls.
Yeah, I wrote it down actually. Yeah, you're right. 21 balls. There are quite a few that have Indian players that have hit 22 ball 50s.
Yeah, yeah,
Kapil Dev, Sehwag, Dravid, Yuvraj. So you're right. There are
yeah.
some big names that are
Like I said,
breathing.
it's not easy to get it off 21 balls.
No, 22 is easy.
No, I did break Kapil Dev's record though.
But
I
do you
did.
think
I
with
did break.
sorry, go on.
No, I said I did break Kapil Dev's record, so he was before me. But Dravid, Yuvraj, and Sehwag, I think I've got whilst I was, I think, playing in those games. So
Just looking at the current, I mean, you say like the modern game is a lot more big hits and aggressive style of batting. So when you look at the current bunch of Indian players, do you see any of those guys getting that magic 21 ball 50 or better?
oh, like I said, I'm actually, I have a few records with the ball, but I never thought this would stand because Rohit Sharma sometimes with white ball cricket starts slowly and then sort of explodes. But there's Hardik Pandya now in the team. There's Rishabh Pant. I mean, MS Dhoni and Yuvraj have finished, but there are enough guys in that. KL Rahul is another one who can comfortably get a 15, whatever, less than 21 balls. So all these guys, I mean, Virat Kohli himself, he doesn't come and start smashing it, but more than capable of getting it under that So that's the one thing. It's quite surprised me, but I'm not complaining.
And there was an Indian player that set a record in eating fish and chips on a UK tour. Was that something that I read about? You visited some local food place, and in England it's fish and
Sachin,
chips. Yeah,
it
that's
was
it.
Sachin. We went Leeds. We won the test in Leeds, and our families were over, so we went for a meal, and there was this challenge. I think it was Harry Ramsden, if I'm not wrong. There's this challenge, and yeah, he polished it off comfortably. I think it was a fair challenge. It was a big cod, I think, at that point, and if you finished it, I think you didn't have to pay for it, or you got an extra one, or something along those lines. And yeah, polished it off comfortably
There's not
without a sweat.
there's nothing he's not good at.
No, exactly. I no, it's look, we were happy as well. The test was won, and it's a good time to actually take on that challenge. But like I said, without a sweat, just polished it off comfortably.
All right, listen, I'm going to let you go because I know it's getting late in India. But many thanks for joining us. And hopefully you can enjoy the series, and it will be good quality and good cricket. And we look forward to the Indian team coming to the UK this summer.
Thank you, Darren. Real pleasure, and
Okay.
been great fun. Thank you so much.